Previously on the True North Road Trip series. Day 1, we did some last minute testing on our gear and packed all of our belongings for the next 28 days on the road. Day 1 was 800 kilometers and we ended up truck camping on the side of Lake Superior with a beautiful sunset. Day 2, we passed some unbelievable sights like Agawa Bay, the Wawa Giant Goose, stopped in to see the Terry Fox Memorial. Kekabeka Falls was also a beautiful sight and ended the day near the Arctic watershed to truck camp again. Day 3, we're finally in the prairies and out of Ontario. We said goodbye to the forest and hello to the Great Plains, and ultimately ended up in Regina to stay the night at a hotel. All told, we've done 2,738 kilometers and we're just getting started.
Some impeccable squeegee work.
After we had thoroughly tested the water slide, sampled the bar, we got a good night's sleep at the Regina Hotel, and on day 4, took off bright and early in the morning because we still had a long way to go, and today is the day we got to the mountains. Driving across the Saskatchewan Great Plains, it just got flatter and flatter and flatter. While it could be a bit monotonous, it was pretty amazing to see the expanse of this area of Canada. Neither of us had ever been there before, and it was truly a pretty interesting experience.
There are prairie dogs everywhere here.
If you ever find yourself on the Trans-Canada coming into Moose Jaw, don't forget to stop by and see Mac the Moose. He's the world's tallest moose.
Well, we finally made it to Alberta. It's some big country out here, my lord. Flat, not a lot of trees. The scale of it is just unbelievably big. Like, I'm sure that hill is probably 10 kilometers away. Everybody says the prairies are boring to drive across, but having never seen them before, pretty interesting. There is 1 or 2 bugs.
After a few more hours of driving, we stopped in Calgary for some groceries and supplies. We'd planned on spending the night in a huge slash of public land called the Ghost River Valley, just outside of Banff National Forest.
We've been overlanding now for about 49 hours straight. Oh. Boogyites? Bogyites. If that means there's somebody else there. Anywho, we're just trying to get down to the river now. This road is very rough and I baby my truck a lot, so I'm dying a little bit, but that's okay. The views are absolutely fantastic. Either 4x4 or 2-wheel drive with good tires. Luckily we've got kind of both, 4x4 with good tires. After 4 days, 3,640 kilometers, we have officially made it to our first mountain truck camping spot. Just look at this place. This is just unbelievable. We're camped on a riverbed. It's public land in Alberta. The craziest thing to me about this is public land and they just let people drive trucks around here, but not ATVs, which makes no sense. Opie is enjoying her life very much. In addition to the beautiful view and campsite that we have, we're gonna be doing some steaks, Caesar salad, couscous, a little bit of pancetta. We'll fry up the steaks in the fat. So gorgeous here. Yeah. Gotta go upstream.
After a delicious steak dinner, we sat around a small campfire to watch the sun go down and enjoy the peace and serenity of the mountains, which we'd worked so hard to get to over the last 4 days. Unfortunately, this was interrupted by an impromptu visit by a fellow camper who was the only other person staying in this massive valley. This strange interaction with our neighbor did not leave us with the best feeling. It was at this point we realized we are in a totally unfamiliar place. Nobody knows where we are. There's an abandoned truck up the road, and it's just us and our strange friend who decided to pay us a visit. We weren't entirely sure if it was the 15-hour straight of murder podcast we listened to on the trip, his erratic behavior, or some of the things that he wanted to tell us. We made the decision to backtrack out of the valley and camp closer to other people in a place where we would definitely have cell service.
Beautiful morning from some public land here in Alberta. Got the Jackery with the solar panels fired up. Just making some coffees. Opie saw a fox earlier and was very upset about it, so she's wearing the bad dog collar. Not a bad place to make breakfast. So for breakfast, we are gonna be making some eggs Benedict. Opie's hunger strike still continues. Jackery update. We got our mobile power station set up. Just charged my laptop this morning. We dipped down below about 55. Now we threw the panels on and we're still charging a whole bunch of stuff. And we're good. We're doing a bit of a reorganize. Pulling some hiking stuff out of the top, putting some more dirty clothes up in there.
People care about that.
Stop it. We're going to Cascade Ponds for a hike.
After walking around Cascade Ponds, we decided to go a little further into the park to Lake Minnewanka to see what hiking options would be available for us. Unfortunately, due to an increase of grizzly bear activity, we were unable to make it any further than the Stewart Canyon Bridge, as groups no smaller than 4 were allowed and no dogs whatsoever past this point. Not wanting to waste the day, we backtracked to where there was a little bit more people and let Opie go for a swim. After exploring what we could at Cascade Ponds, we headed out to our destination for the night. Seeing as this was still our honeymoon, we'd made plans to stay at the historic Banff Springs Hotel. First opened in 1888, the Banff Springs Hotel was a vision of a man named William Cornelius Van Horn, who was the general manager of the Canadian Pacific Railway. At the time, it only cost $250,000 to build the hotel, and during its construction, a mistake was made by the builder, changing the orientation of the hotel to turn its back on the mountains, and instead it faces the convergence of the Bow and Spray River as well as Mount Rundle. Now an official Canadian historical site, in the hotel's 150-year history, it's been through a number of changes, expansions, even closures during World War II, and hosted world-renowned guests like Queen Elizabeth and King George VI. After a quick bite to eat on the picturesque lookout patio at the Banff Springs Hotel, we decided to go out and explore the area the only way we knew how.
The Scooty Squad! Another beautiful morning here in Banff. We stayed at the Fairmont last night, had a great dinner, scootered around, and this morning we came out here, had some pastries for breakfast from a bakery. Now we're going to Lake Louise. We're gonna do a bit of a hike. Hope you're ready to go hiking. The mountains we go.
After spending the morning at Lake Louise and hiking up to Lake Agnes and taking a very refreshing swim in the glacier-fed lakes, we hiked back down, hopped in the truck, and headed north on the ICEFIELDS Parkway. Tonight, we are going wild camping in the back of the truck at Abraham Lake in the Cline River area. after a pretty fantastic hike today at Lake Louise up to Lake Agnes in the tea house. We drove a few hours north on the ICEFIELDS Parkway, then hooked onto Highway 11, and we're just doing some public land camping tonight. This place is absolutely beautiful. We are utilizing most of the things that we brought. Jackery's charging things. We've got our tent up for shade, and then the truck just parked down here on the beach. Tonight we're gonna have gnocchi for dinner, and Opie, who's been on a hunger strike for most of this trip and is now taken to lying under the truck, is gonna be having some beef and rice because she's gotta end her hunger strike. Another evening at the Motel Canyonero. Any time of year, you can park it here. Appetizers at the Motel Canyonero are by the bay charcuterie tray. Despite enjoying king-size beds and delicious dinners just the night before at the Banff Springs Hotel, all of those things were quickly replaced and pale in comparison to yet another stunning wild campsite. Sitting together on the side of a glacier-fed lake, nestled in the mountains, watching a thunderstorm roll by, tops every nice dinner or so-called luxury there is. There's such a thing called high-grade fun. The more you work for it, the more you're going to enjoy it, and the more you're going to remember it.